Good morning, everybody. This is Carrie Getz, and we're here with another edition of our podcast series talking about women, trades, and vets in tech. Today, I am pleased to be interviewing Kelly Flowers, who started the Women Leading Technology sorority that's really working towards doing some great things with STEM and STEAM, actually adding arts and architecture to that. And I've known Kelly for quite some time, and she has a little bit different position in the industry in that she's sort of aftermarket as opposed to some of the folks that we've talked to that are on the building edge. So, Kelly, why don't you give us a quick introduction of yourself and then we'll go from there.
Perfect. Yes. My name is Kelly Flowers. I am actually a senior account executive for Service Express. Service Express is actually a data center maintenance third-party company, and we provide third-party hardware support for server storage and networking gear. And I am also the founder of Women Leading Technology, which is a one and only technology sorority. I love to say that here.
So, tell us a little bit about some of the jobs that you've had in the past, sort of your career into the industry and how you ended up in the data center industry. I'm sure you didn't grow up and say, oh, I want to work in data centers.
Actually, no, I thought I was going to be a teacher at one time and a pediatrician. But what happened is I got into the technology industry starting in telecommunications. That was a very interesting industry to get into. I always say that that's a race to zero. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but that's the industry that I started off in. I've been in the technology industry, starting in the telecom space for probably over like about, I want to say a little over like 8 years, I guess, in that industry. And believe it or not, before that, I started in my sales career in at Orkin Pest Control. I was actually in sales through pest control and then ventured off into the technology space. And so I've been here at Service Express going on 3 years, which I absolutely love. One of my managers brought me over here from a telecom industry and brought me to this particular space that I'm in now. And so I absolutely love it because it's very different than the telecom world. We sell something extremely different. We don't compete with the telecom world, even though we still talk to the same people. And so it just gives me access to just different forms of technology to learn about the servers, the storage, and the networking gear as to what type of environments that a lot of companies actually have, and how that particular hardware supports their environment. And so I'm just here to help them to extend the life of the equipment that they have, whether it's a Cisco SmartNet, whether it's anything that is SAN related. It can be a mainframe from IBM or whomever. And so my goal is to really shift the mindset of basically feeling like you have to refresh every 3 to 5 years, because you don't. Because Gartner actually did a study that said that equipment can last anywhere from 7 to 10 years. So instead of refreshing, or feeling like you have to refresh every 3 to 5 years, we actually tell you to extend the life of that gear. Let us take that over for you, help you out with that. And our main goal for me personally, I like to secure jobs. So I like them to take those additional funds, because I'm going to reduce their costs between 40 to 60%, sometimes even 70%, depending on the equipment that they have. And my goal is to have them to allocate that savings to a salary, or at least allocate it to some of the projects that you have on the back burner. And so that's what I'm here to do, is to save you money and secure your job.
Yeah, we've definitely seen hardware refresh times increase over the years. It used to be that everybody started, every 3 years there was a refresh, kind of whether they needed it or not. And now some of these refresh cycles have certainly lengthened out, and people try to keep their equipment longer and really maximize what they're getting out of those investments. By the same token, you all know, since Windows 7 is losing support from Microsoft, sometimes you have to, because of lack of support from the manufacturer itself for some of the patches. But it's definitely nice to have somebody that can step in and sort of show that difference, which just having options in this industry, I think, is really important, especially, smaller companies that may not have large refresh budgets, and really trying to identify the right life cycle for things.
That is correct. And so the beautiful thing about it, we know, like, for example, like the AS400s are coming into life March the 31st. So instead of you feeling like you have to refresh, we just tell you, just keep what you have. and let us maintain it for you. We will keep you going. We will extend the life of that gear. And it also helps a lot of individuals that are salespeople that actually sell hardware. So as we know, when you're in a data center or an organization, a large organization is not just going to rip and replace everything all at once because that can be extremely expensive. And so that may be a lengthy project. And so what we're able to do is come in and fill that gap for you, almost like a gap insurance.
As you started down your career in tech, going from telecommunications over to selling service and support, and obviously learning a lot of new technology because, server storage and all that doesn't really exist when you're selling telecommunications. Talk to me a little bit about some of what you've done to kind of hone your craft and learn about the different technologies and where you find that knowledge.
So most of it is really just trial and error. It's really just going out and just listening to your customers and listening to your prospects. They'll basically tell you what their environment is. And so the one thing that I like to do is just go back and kind of learn, even if I don't know exactly what they're speaking about at that time, because I do learn a lot from my engineers. I like to bring my engineers along with me on some of my cell meetings. And the reason why I do that is because not only does it help the customer to be able to talk peer to peer, but it also allows me to learn and to understand what a person's environment look like. Basically, what does this particular storage gear, what does this do for you? It just helps me to understand that way. So I've really just learned through like my engineers and also through the clients and prospects. And I also, do my own personal just learning on my own, just reading and understanding what a particular piece of equipment actually does and how it helps the customer.
No end to the opportunities for learning in this industry, that's for sure.
That's for sure. That's for sure. I'm always, I tell everyone all the time, I'm always learning. That's for sure. Yeah, you're never too old to learn.
So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about some of the STEM outreach and what prompted you to start Women Leading Technology and why you picked the sorority platform and some of the work that you're doing there and with the Girl Scouts of Texas. So feel free to dive in any part of that you choose.
So the one thing that I noticed within the industry that we're in, the technology industry, is when it comes to women, it's not a lot of women that's in this particular industry. And so the one thing that I wanted to do throughout my career was to really be that one woman that kind of just stood out within this industry, whether it was in telecom or whether it's here in at Service Express. And so my main thing is that when I noticed that, I said, you know what, I think I want to do something a little different. I want to be able to reach out to young ladies from elementary through high school. I want to be able to reach them and see how we can move their career in like a STEM technology type of space. So the one thing that I wanted to do, I wanted to do something that was STEM related, of course, but I wanted to create another layer of STEM, which is STEAM for us. And it's STEAM with two A's because we incorporate arts and architect. I feel it's very important for young ladies to get into that particular industry as well. And so that's when we came up with Women Leading Technology. But it's a two-part to Women Leading Technology. The first phase is when I started the sorority piece, I wanted it to be more of a true sisterhood where we can rely on one another like true, like really like your very own sister. Because one thing that I noticed also when I would go to networking events, a lot of times that when you go there, it's either individuals kind of stay with the people that they know. You may have a few that may venture off and try to get to know other people, but in a lot of cases, it's really you're kind of sticking to the people that you know. And then once you leave there, you really didn't get anything from it. Like you didn't get any real like connections with a person that you can, communicate with even after that and, and further on and make a friendship out of it. And so I wanted to develop something that was, geared around a true sisterhood becoming more than just a networking piece. I want you to be more than that. And so that's where Women Leading Technology came from. And so we have women that are like from CIOs all the way down to like technical recruiters that are part of women leading technology. Then that's when the next layer came on, where I said that we wanted to reach like the younger generation. And I think it's very important to be able to map out or help young ladies to map out their careers at an early age. And when you have like all the resources that they need to help them to move forward, I think that's just a beautiful marriage. I really do. And so that's why we brought in and decided to do the STEAM piece of women leading technology. And so that's just really the main reason why I started that, is because I just wanted to reach two different layers and marry them together.
It's really important that women have, or young girls actually have, role models in, moving into technology and technology positions. One of the guests we had on this podcast talked about some of the research that she had done and found that girls, well, children as a whole actually, sort of framed their frame of reference for what they were going to be when they were grow up, when they grow up by the age of 7. Really understanding that that can be a very vision for a lot of kids. There's still, we're working on this right now in the state of Mississippi because computer science is not required in our classrooms, which in today's day and age, it's pretty silly. But, I think being able to have some of the role models out there and having these careers highlighted, that's really why we're doing this podcast series, is so young girls can listen and figure out what other people do in their careers, kind of, what that could look like as they grow up. And I think having that STEM outreach and being able to tie in the Girl Scouts, which I know you've done, is really important too. As a matter of fact, we have a Girl Scout troop here that already exercised for their technical merit badge, and they're going to be guests coming up soon on the podcast. So we're pretty excited about that. But I do think that these young girls really just need to see somebody that's in that position, and really being able to tie that together with folks that are in the industry is really important.
I agree. And so what we did when we partner with the Girl Scouts of North Texas, because we're also partnering with other schools as well, so that we can give the girls a variety of different options of STEM camps that they can be a part of. And so our goal is to definitely to reach, deserving girls, to give them the chance and the opportunity to be involved in all of the different aspects of what STEM has to offer and STEAM has to offer. And so one thing that the Girl Scouts of North Texas have, they actually have a STEM camp here in the Dallas Fort Worth area. And so their STEM camp is actually pretty cool. It sits on like 92 acres. They offer anything from artificial intelligence to underwater robotics, anything that's pretty much STEM related, they do have there on that campus. And so what our goal is to raise funds to be able to send deserving girls to that STEM camp for for a week, and just have them to engage and get to know everything that's STEM related that they have to offer there on that campus. And that's why we're doing that masquerade fundraising gala on March the 14th, for that reason, for us to be able to raise the funds to sponsor the young ladies to attend that camp this summer.
And we'll certainly have a link to that on the description for the podcast for people that want to go out and try to help sponsor these young ladies to go. And for the girls that actually can go themselves, tell me a little bit about how they go applying for these scholarships, and how do they figure out how to get to these camps? Do they have to be a Girl Scout? Does it work only through the Girl Scout program, or how exactly does that work?
No, it doesn't. So you do not have to be a Girl Scout in order to attend the camp, which is a beautiful thing. One thing that we're doing, we're actually teaming up with different school districts to be able to find young ladies that are deserving to go to the STEM Camp of Excellence. And so we have, teachers, we have school districts and all of that, and different schools that we're working with to be able to, grab a pool of young ladies that we can actually fund to go to the camp. And the beautiful thing is once we sponsor you, they'll actually automatically become a Girl Scout. We pay for them to become a Girl Scout as well. So that's like an all-inclusive package. And then the other STEM camps that we're going to be sending them to as well, it's really just us just finding a pool of young ladies that are deserving, with the resources coming from other areas of people helping us to bring those young ladies together. So we have like resources that we rely on to help us to find the girls that are deserving to go to that particular camp or any STEM camp that we choose to send them to.
I'm not sure that everybody knows where all these STEM camps or STEAM camps are, but I do think it's a great way to expose kids to that technology piece, and help them just go out and play and find other like-minded individuals. Because there is kind of that nerd stigma, I think, attached with, and I wear that nerd badge proudly, I guess. But
Yeah, I'm telling you.
it's good for girls to see other folks, or kids in general, I guess, really to see other like-minded people and get to work on projects together. Because realistically, when you get to the real world, that's the way this stuff works. I mean, nobody really is an island unto themselves unless they choose to make themselves an island. Every project has a myriad of resources that you can pull from. And just understanding that teamwork and bringing the kids together in a team environment is so important, not just to self-esteem, but really helping them identify with other folks.
Exactly. And so that's another thing that, we want the girls to know that you're not in this alone. We're here for you. We're here to help you. We want you to go, to understand what this does for you, not just now, but also in the future. We want to help you to get to college. We want to help you to, figure out what your next steps in life are going to be. And let us help you. Let us guide you, to the next level. That's what we're here for. We're your true sisters to help you get to the next level. So we're not just the sisters to one another, but we're also sisters to the younger generation as well. And we want to embrace them and help them to map out their careers. So we never want them to feel like they're alone or they have no resources or outlets or anything like that, because we're going to help them and provide them with those things. And that's what Women Leading Technology, our sorority, is all about.
You have companies now too, like Apple and some other ones that are really working on doing skills-based hiring. And Apple came out and said that 50% of their employees don't have a degree, although, getting a degree is one of the benefits that they offer, which gives kids a chance to get a degree, and have it be paid for. But there's a lot of jobs in this industry that don't necessarily require a degree. And it's important, for kids to understand that there's a different paths into this industry. Some would be through trades, and trades are involved in the tech industry just as much as programmers or coders. And there's sort of a misnomer that you have to write code to be in this industry, which there's a million things that have nothing to do with writing code in this industry. So
Exactly.
just getting them that exposure and that kickstart certainly can lead to a
Hmm.
career really before they end up with a college degree, and then their college degree can be paid for.
That's right, exactly. And that's what we want to be able to do is just have resources for them, just to guide them. Like you say, because everyone, and the one thing that I never want this particular organization to be focused on when it comes to, providing the scholarships or sponsorships or anything like that, is that it has to be that you have to have a certain GPA or you have to, meet these intelligent criteria. That's not what we're about, because I'm a person that is very ADD. That's number one. I wasn't very book smart, even though I finished college. And I want I want the resources to be available to the ones that, yeah, you may be dyslexic, but that doesn't stop you from, becoming the next president or the next, person that's in technology, that's a CIO or whomever. It doesn't matter what your disability is, you still can, be whatever you want to be, and we want to help you to get there. And so I don't want it to be just limitations, or them to feel like they have limitations, because we're here to help you no matter what level you're on.
We've had people on here talk about certifications, and I have a few myself, but certainly the certification route is one good way to jumpstart it and just be able to hit the job running. And even a lot of the
Hmm.
kids that get out of college curriculum in many cases is so far behind where technology is right now anyway, that you
It
see
is. I
companies
agree.
training up their own people. Some of the big companies are training warehouse workers to write code, and there's there's lots of different ways to find. But one thing is for certain: there is a shortage of talent in this industry, and there's many, many paths into the industry. Really, there's a difference between mentoring somebody and really being a sponsor. And we've talked about that on this podcast before. Being a sponsor is somebody that will utter your name when you're not in the room and really put your name forward and for consideration for a job that you might not be fully qualified for. And one of the diversity and inclusion experts we had on here, we were talking about how job descriptions are written sometimes to favor one gender over another. And
Mm-hmm.
women typically don't apply to a job unless they feel like they're 100% qualified for the job, whereas men will apply for the same job when they're 60% qualified. And we talk about, the importance of networking. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people really miss out on in this industry. It's one thing to network with folks and know who does what, but it's another thing to be one of those active sponsors in somebody's network to say, hey, I'm happy to make these connections. Let's start with these few. We'll see where it goes. If that doesn't work, let's touch base. We'll go back and make a few more connections and let's find out what we can really do. And maybe I can introduce you to somebody that's in a career or something. And so I think that's one aspect of the sorority piece here that is different than a lot of the regular organizations that you would apply for, and that sponsorship is really available, and that ability to get to learn about somebody else on a one-to-one basis is really available.
Yes, it is. And it's very important, because you want a person to feel, really feel welcome. That's what I want. You've been to, a few of our events as well. And so I want to get your take on what did you think about the events that you've attended?
The events are great and certainly a lot of fun. It's nice to hear from different women in the industry and kind of what they do. We all complement each other. There's parts of my business that, customers ask for that I can't do. And it's always nice to find somebody else that I can make that referral to. And so from an outreach perspective, everybody's kind of doing something different. And it's nice to be able to pool some of those resources and see where we can help each other out with the outreach programs that we're all working on. Back to the networking that we were talking about. That's one of the hard things about being a small business is finding business, right? So and that from
Good.
a career in sales, finding the right people to call on. Cold calling can be a bust to your ego after a couple, after a few days of calling
That's
and
very
calling and
true.
yeah.
Yes,
So,
yes.
just that pathway, I think, and the introduction is really, really important for a lot of things. I do a lot of stuff in tech, but there's a lot of stuff honestly I want no part of. And, you know, not that I couldn't do it, I just choose not to. And I would much rather refer
Right,
that to
right.
somebody. So that is definitely one of the benefits of having the different type of environment. It's not like going to a trade association group where you sort of see the same people all the time and everybody's farming after the same people. This is really sort of a different path in that it's a smaller setting. So people are really getting to know each other and getting to know what they do and, figure out better ways to help each other out. So, I applaud what you're
Mhm.
doing. I think it's great. That's actually why you're on my podcast.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that because it's all about women helping women. I mean, it really is. And the beautiful thing is not just even though we are a women's organization, we have a lot of men that support us. And that's the thing that I love even more is that extra layer of men that are behind the women that want to push us to help us to succeed, that want to be your mentor to help you to get to, whatever the next level is that you're trying to get to. And I just love that. I love the support of not just the women, but also the support of the men that's behind us women, and behind our organization, which I just absolutely think is very powerful.
Oh, for sure. We've actually talked about that on this podcast, and it's come up on several of the women's panels that I speak on too. Some of the most active participants are dads because they want a better path for their daughter, and they see, when they look around a boardroom that there aren't any, right? So it,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
it is part of really supporting that. And I posted something on LinkedIn. I think it was the announcement that Goldman Sachs said that they were not going to take any companies public that didn't have women on the board. But some man commented on there that, hire who you want, let diversity fall where it may. And I thought, wow, you are just really missing out because it's
Mhm.
proven that the companies that have diversity on their board, in particular women, do better than companies that don't. And, you know, and I've also heard people say, well, I don't understand why you support women on this podcast, because it's really sort of reverse discrimination. And, you know, to those people, you just say, you know, you just don't get it. It's really about making sure those role models are available for the next generation coming up, and making sure those opportunities are available. Most jobs are filled through networking, and most people network with people they're comfortable with. You know, it's the people they play golf
That's
with, or the
right.
people, you know, they hang out with. And why people think that it's a bad thing that women are getting together and doing that and trying to make a difference to other women, I just don't quite understand. But
I don't
to your
either.
point, you
Yeah.
know, dads are definitely very active participants, and men that, you know, really see a thing with diversity. And I know that there's been one of the last presentations that I gave, a man stood up and said, you know, well, what about the Me Too movement? You know, I'm afraid to hire women because of this whole
Oh
Me Too
wow.
thing. Yeah, plenty of ways to handle that. You can have your meetings in a public restaurant. You can, you know, make sure you're in a glass conference room. You can invite somebody else to participate if you want to. But, you know, for the most part, it's really a shame kind of in this society that a few people ruin it for a lot of people. And,
Mhm.
you know, I think this is part of where that one-on-one face-to-face communication stands a chance to make a difference.
Yes, I agree. I agree. And it's just a matter of us, it's all about just understanding. It's all about communication. And like you say, not doing things to put you in those positions, to make you feel like you shouldn't hire a woman, because we have a lot to bring to the table. We really do. And I think that, it's within a company's benefit to hire women a lot of times. And so I mean, I just think it's a great thing to do, and so it's just all about, just making sure that the communication is an open communication on both ends, and we can move forward, from there.
Sure, and also just making sure that it's a welcoming environment to everybody that wants to play.
Exactly.
You know, there that I think is just as important. Most people as a whole have figured out how to operate professionally without that backlash. Now, that's not to say that the topic doesn't deserve some conversation. That was really the number one reason cited in one of the studies I just read of why women leave the industry, and part of the attrition rate is due to that harassment. So there's certainly some bad players out there, but, you know, by and large, they're the ones that get the attention. But there's a lot of really good players out there too, and there's a lot of women that work together very well.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So that's what I think, that, it's just all about communication. It really is. And so please do not feel that you can't hire a woman, because you can. You really can. And we have a lot to bring to the table. So don't be afraid of the Me Too movement situation. Just please, give women a chance, because we like I said, we do have a lot to bring to the table, as far as our knowledge and our skills, and we really can help to take and move a organization, I meant, like, forward. And so, I plead to you guys, please, to hire women, because we can help you.
For sure. Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, it's good for other women to have a sounding board too, you know, with other women in the
Yes,
industry. And certainly, you know, being able to build those genuine relationships makes all the difference in the world.
I agree. Yep, it's very important, very important. So, it's just a matter of just having that open communication, helping, like you say, women helping women. I love women helping women. I think that that's very powerful. That's one of our mottos, is always that women are stronger together, because I feel that we are stronger together. We're if we have a very strong community, it's amazing the things that we can do when we put all of our minds together.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about what people can do. They're listening to this podcast that really want to make a difference and do some outreach in their own communities, similar to what you're doing. What would you recommend?
So one thing that I would definitely recommend: make sure that you join some organizations within your community, and make sure that the organization that you're joining, that they do outreach, they do reach out to the community as far as like, charitable, do things that are charitable. Make sure that they, are reaching back to help like the younger generation or whatever it may be. Just make sure that whatever organization that you join, that you vet them out and make sure that they're in line in what you're what your mission is all about. But I would definitely make sure that you do that. You and definitely join organizations that are like a charitable organization, because you will get a lot of exposure in itself by doing charitable events, and doing charitable things. I just think that that's very huge. And just, I mean, really, just vet out and find like different organizations to be a part of. That would
I
be one
think
of my recommendations.
sure. And being able to, go to career days and, if you're in tech, call the local high school and see if you can go talk to the class.
Yes.
We're doing quite a bit of work here through As Is, reaching out to the different community colleges, for instance, and helping them understand some of the careers and security that could be available in careers in tech. Because one thing I think that really hurts us in this industry just a little bit is that the curriculum is a little more narrow than it should be. There's not a lot of
Hmm.
people that teach data center classes, for instance. So if somebody goes to college, their their IT curriculum is very different than it would be in a lot of positions that you would be in. And I mean, there's people in here in this industry that have a bachelor's degree that has nothing to do with IT. It's, because somebody started out in a different industry. I was talking to a lady not long ago that has been in the medical community for 15 years, and now she's in this industry in a sales position selling
Hmm.
telecommunications products, which is a big leap from the medical side. But one thing you will find, if you reach out and you join some of these organizations, is there's absolutely no shortage of people that really want to help you out and really will step up to the plate on your behalf.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100% with that. Yeah, so it's just a matter of just reaching out and speaking to different people. And networking is huge. And I think that, you need to network where whatever state you're in. Make sure that you go out and you do some networking. Networking is a very important piece of the puzzle. And really just connecting with women that are like minded, just like you. I think that's important. And the best way to find them is by networking.
And an important thing about networking too is you can't be one of those people that expects to take everything from a networking relationship. You have to be one of those people that wants to pay that same favor forward, whether it's to that
Yes.
same person or somebody else. But we all know that there's folks, that attach to you and then that they really just, their intention is to drain you. And um,
Yes.
you know and it's very much the same as people you would choose to do business with. There's got to be, you really want a business partner. Anybody can be a parts person, and there's a very
I,
big difference in somebody that really wants to help guide you with technology, because there's so much to learn. It's such a vast industry. Anybody that can
yeah.
help you and shortcut some of that. It doesn't have to be that when you're networking somebody introduces you to a new customer, or it could be very
Hmm.
simple. It could be over lunch. Let's talk about this new technology that's coming out and see, where that applies to you, and if there's something that, you know, that you can do to help that. And so, there's lots
Exactly.
of, there's lots of ways to get tangible things out of networking, I guess is probably the best way to put that.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. It doesn't have to always, like you said, it doesn't always have to be that you're just trying to get a customer. It could just be just learning. You can just get with a person just to learn about, maybe they know something, a new technology or something that's coming out, or even another way to do business or whatever. You can learn so much from people just by just talking to them. And it's not necessarily just for you to, I need you to introduce me to this person so I can, get a sale. Don't make it about you. Make it about just learning a lot of times. And I tell people this all the time. Don't chase money, chase the process. And whether the process means that you're just getting to know what's new and the latest and the greatest that's out there, or really just seeing how did the person get to the level that they're at, and maybe that's one of your career ambitions. So maybe you can just learn something from that individual. It doesn't necessarily have to be for you to get something from them in a way that generates money. it could just be all about knowledge, really.
Yeah, goodwill
That's
goes a
what a lot of people
long
don't see.
way.
It does.
Yep.
It
Yep.
does. I agree.
So we're bumping up close to our time here. If you have any parting words that you want to give folks on the way out, either how they can be more involved with what you're doing, where they can contact you. Obviously, we'll put a link on the description, but some folks are in cars driving, listening to this right now. So tell us how people can get involved with the sorority and the scholarships and sponsoring young women. And
Sure. So the one thing that you can do to actually get involved with the organization, currently with the event that we're having. So we have an upcoming event on March the 14th in Dallas, Texas, and it's actually a masquerade fundraising event. So it's going to be a very fun event, first of all. But the wonderful thing about it is that you're going to be supporting STEM education. You're going to be supporting the young ladies to attend the Girl Scout STEM Camp of Excellence in Dallas this summer, and they're going to go there for a week. And so your money, 100% of the proceeds actually go to scholarships for the girls. The best way that you can figure out all about our organization and then how to be involved in the event is on our website, which is womenleadingtechnology.org. Once again, womenleadingtechnology.org is where you can go to find out more information, how to become a member, how to get involved with our organization, and definitely how to be a part of or how to attend the Masquerade Gala. And you can also become a sponsor. You can buy tickets for your staff. Just whatever you would like to do. If you want to donate something to the swag bags, you can do that as well. So anything is welcome, and we appreciate you. So everything that you do is getting us closer to sending the young ladies to the STEM camp, and we appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you.
And then for the young girls that want to get involved, do they go to that same website?
The young ladies that want to get involved, absolutely. You will go to the same website, and then you can also send us an email. And our email is info@womenleadingtechnology, and we answer all emails, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Perfect. Well, Kelly, I want to thank you for your time this morning, and to everybody else. Like I said, there will be links to the sorority on the announcement for this podcast or in the description. And we look forward to hosting you on a future podcast. Kelly, thank you again for your time.
No, thank you, and you have a fantastic day.
Thanks, you too.